Hey YouTubers, good afternoon, good morning. I'm doing this quick 6 months ownership review of the Thunderbird 350. First of all, let me start with giving you a quick overview on the build quality of this bike. The bike is very well built. Of course, it is all steel and metal, so no doubt it's the best investment that you can do at that money. Rest all the bikes are definitely good and fast, but they don't have a metal body as you see that we have on the Thunderbird 350. Okay, now coming to the build quality, other than that, I can say that it comes with a fully metal silencer as well, and a very good chassis. Right, that's one of the key things which is important while you're riding a heavyweight bike like this. Then let me give you a quick overview of some of the modifications that I have done here. The first modification I would like to highlight is about the visor, which is not actually present on a Thunderbird stock model. Of course, this is not a BS4 bike. I have bought this like 6 months back, and this is a visor that I have purchased locally from Bangalore JC Road outlets, and this visor is of Himalaya. So Himalayan's visor definitely fits this bike with some clamping, but no drilling work or anything else is required. So it is very easy to fit this visor, and it definitely comes in handy when you're riding your bike at a little bit higher speed, so that you don't have a headwind hitting you directly into the face. So coming to the second modification that I have done, it's not a modification as such. I have added a mobile charger come a mobile holder, which is a spider thing, which costed me around 1000 rupees plus fitting charge. Of course, I forgot to tell you the price of this visor, which is 530 rupees or something, and then a fitting charge of 300 rupees. So I actually bought both of these at the same price, at the same store, so I got a little bit reduction on the fitting price. So both in total cost me around 1800 rupees, including the fitting and everything. And the third thing that I've added on here is a saddle bag, which definitely comes in handy when you're carrying small bags or something inside that. Of course, it's not a very big one, so you don't carry your shoes or anything like that in there. You can put your gloves in there and easily carry it around for a small journey that you plan. And the next thing I have added onto this bike is the seat covers and the tank cover. I know many of you will say, why a tank cover? It might spoil your tank's polish and paint and whatnot. But it is definitely very handy for me to put my mobile or wallet in when I'm doing a short run within the city. So that is very important for me, the tank cover. So I have put it, but once it is worn out, probably I will think to probably not replace it with a new one. Let us talk about the consoles that we get on the Thunderbird, which is okay for me. I mean, you get a trip meter, odometer, fuel gauge, which many of you would say is not accurate. I would say the same as well, because sometimes it keeps on blinking even though there is plenty of fuel in the tank. So I would rather not rely on that too much, because fortunately Thunderbird or Royal Enfield have given us a very good switch for the petrol petrol on and reserve. So I basically depend on that rather than running through this gauge of the fuel. Then you have a neutral lamp, front lamp, LED, of course a side stand indicator, which is very bleak and cannot be seen in a daylight, so it is as good as useless unless you have parked your bike in a shadowy area and taking it out. Then it comes with all these good switch gears, which I think is very nice, and it's not that wobbly. It is perfect fit. It does do the job it is intended to do. Let us talk about the headlight that we get in this. It's not a very powerful headlight though, because I find it very difficult when I'm riding in the night condition, because it doesn't give me ample amount of light that I can see The dim and dip switch, not the dim and dip switch, the high and low beam lights are pretty much equal for me, because the high beam is just a couple of meters away that it shows on the road, but it's not at all lighting up the road completely. So if you're a night rider and you want to take your bike outside during the night, then I would definitely suggest you put on a couple of fog lamps that you get in the market. I don't know about the battery, how it consumes, but many of the bullet riders have put that on, and they do show a very good improvement in the visibility when they're riding it on the night conditions. It does boast a very nice daylight running lamp, which I think is a very good head turner. So I always make sure that I switch this on while I'm riding the bike. And one more modification I forgot to show you is this headlamp protector. I don't know what this is, a protector or just a show off. I would say a show off because it looks good. Because the headlamp is made of the transparent material is not glass, it's fiber, so you don't have to worry about getting shattered into pieces when something hits it on a minute level. Okay, that said, let's quickly have other look of the bike, which is the silencer, and everything is so much chrome. So please make sure that you have to wipe this off when you do a dirt biking. So otherwise it will get a lot of kind of sticky mark on it. It will be very difficult for you to remove if you just let it settle down for a few days. So my suggestion is, if you have taken the bike on a mud road and if you see a lot of mud stuck to the silencer and any other chrome parts, then please remove it immediately on the same day. The back part is the most stylish part, which has a very good look and feel. It has a nice indicator and an LED tail lamp combined with the heavy duty tires. The rear tire is very nice. So this was one of the key things that I saw when the bike was standing in the showroom, and it really attracted me. The whole part from the backside looks, the whole setup from the backside looks very good. Okay, so that was about the cosmetic or the looks of the bike. No doubt this is one of the head turner around the city. So that is the main reason I bought this bike, because it's one of the beautiful looking bikes in this segment. All the other bikes are not so much of a head turner, especially the seating position for the pillion riders is as such, they are sitting on top of the rider. So it is very funny when I look at people driving such bike. No offense to them, of course, it's their personal choice, but of course this was mine. Sorry if you take that otherwise. Let's talk about the performance of the bike, which I should say is pretty good. Let's start with the brake. The brakes, it has 2 disc brakes, both front and rear. I have no clue about the technical specifications on the calipers. I guess both of them come with 1 piston caliper. Sorry if that's not the right thing. But from a layman term, while applying the brake, it is not the best in class. I have ridden Pulsar and other bikes or similar bikes, and even something like a two-wheeler of Access from Suzuki. Braking power is not a very good attractive thing that you can think about this bike, because with this 350cc capacity, it should come with a ABS technology and a very good braking mechanism, which is kind of lacking in this bike, but not a deal breaker as such. Coming to the engine, it is an air-cooled 350 cubic centimeter engine with a single piston driven mechanism. Now, a lot of people have a lot of things and thoughts about this engine, whether there is vibration, there is speed and everything. Okay, let me answer one by one the questions. First of all, about the speed, this is not a bike if you are a speedster, because trust me, I have tried to take this baby up to 100 plus kilometers. It is possible, but then you will end up with not a such comfortable cruising ride, because it starts vibrating and the handlebar catches a lot of vibration, and also the engine feels like it's going to break out after a certain 100 plus speed. So my suggestion is, if you are a speedster, then please look out for any other good speed bikes. Like Dominar seems to be the market leader right now in this segment. Of course, you have Yamaha and other companies also competing in this particular area for speed. If you're looking for a bike which can cruise easily, and my personal experience after riding this bike for 6+ months, 80 to 90 is easily achievable, and you don't have to worry anything about cruising at that speed because it is the most comfortable speed as per my opinion. You don't have to worry about hitting someone and getting out of balance at that speeds. About the vibrations, of course, it is there. The vibrations are there. I feel that the ratio that they have made for the body mass versus the engine capacity versus the dynamics of the physics, or the physics that has been used in this particular engineering of the bike is not so great, because of which I think it cannot cruise more than a certain speed or certain velocity. That's when the vibrations kick in, and you cannot actually go above a certain threshold of the speed. I am certain that the Enfielders, or especially Thunderbirders, are going to scream in the comments that I don't know how to ride. That's how I can ride, and that's the maximum velocity I have achieved so far. But as I said, if you are cruising between 80 to 90, you have no problem. It will go like a knife in the butter. I have seen a lot of complaints that I have told there is an oil leak and everything from the engine. Fortunately enough, I have not faced a major oil leak or any such oil leak. There was a small leak from the spark plug connection inside the bike. On the other side it is mounted through the rubber gasket. So I was told that after doing a service it should be gone, and it did disappear after the service. I think they had applied some adhesive to the rubber holding the engine and the spark plug gap. The key feature, of course, which we should not forget about any Royal Enfield bike, is about the thump that you get by starting the bike. I am really not a big fan of the huge sound that bikes make, so the stock silencer that I have provided does the job for me. And BS3 vehicles are not really bad sounded vehicles as compared to BS4, which has lost a lot of its sound. So for me, this sound was pretty good, the thump that we are getting out of a stock silencer, so I'm not going to upgrade that to anything further. I'm not sure you can hear the sound completely. I have started the bike with this is what the sound we get. I am pretty much satisfied with the sound, and there is always a complaint about the tappet noise which do appear but not when it is on as such in idle condition. So the tappet noise does appear when I am cruising at around 80 kmph. I can literally hear some squeaky noise that is coming out of the engine, but nothing to worry, it's part of the Royal Enfield's sound family. So many of you would ask what is the mileage that the bike is giving for a 350cc engine. I think all of you might have read it on the internet, as well as my fellow YouTubers would have also given you a lot of tests conducted on the bike. It is, as they said, it is between 30 to 35 kilometers per liter, and if you are on a highway run with 80 plus, it does drop down a bit because of the engine heating, a little bit of more heat that you generate because of the high speeds. Otherwise, if you are cruising between 60 to 70, it can easily reach up to 40 km per liter. The next question might be that how comfortable is this bike to ride? The front seat is pretty good for the rider. It is easily, you can easily sit, and then it's not too much of a difficult position to sit in, and it is very good for cruising with the handle that they have provided. I did do a little bit of forward bending of the handle so that I can access it easily. Then the pillion seat, of course, that was something that I had in mind since the beginning of the design of the bike. It was not the best in class because it is very small, and especially if you have someone sitting both their legs on this front foot peg in that position, then it is very difficult for them to sit for a longer time. Of course, If someone is sitting on a regular position with both their legs on the split on the either side of the bike, then it is easier on a regular position. That is what I get the feedback from the people sitting on the pillion seat of this bike. How about the tires and the tubelessness that it does not have? Is again something which, if you are thinking too much and if you are an off-roader, then that is something for your serious consideration, because so far I have not done any off-roading and I'm not intending to do that. Hence, the tires are pretty much okay for me, and if the tires go bald, if it wears out, then I'm planning to put an alloy wheel along with a tubeless tire. So that is something that I have in mind for now. But so far so good, without any punctures, touch wood. Before ending the video, a final touch on the console and the mirrors that set up that also aids during the vibration, of course, no doubt about it. The console just keeps on vibrating, and I've even heard people saying that the metal support that it has underneath actually falls off after a certain mileage of run that you have done on the bike. So be careful about that, and I don't know if there is any other alternative that Royal Enfield has come up with, unfortunately, so far. The mirrors are shaky as you can imagine while you are riding at a speed of 80 plus. Literally, you cannot see anything, but of course, you can make out objects coming from the behind. That said, I'm going to end the video with this short note, and I hope you guys liked it and it did help you make a purchase decision. Definitely, I'm not saying anything wrong about anyone's personal choice. This is what I have felt, and this is what it is about the bike I have, the Thunderbird 350. On an overall, I would give it a rating of around 7 to 7.5 on a scale of 10. On the durability, that is what I feel as well, and about the whole style, I would give it an 8. The performance, around 7 again. And then about the mileage, 7, because of 30 to 35 kilometer, and it is expected. Anything about vibrations and any other errors that it might have, or not an error, I would say it's something which might put another question in a buyer's mind. So do go through any other reviews that you have on YouTube to make your final decision as well. Okay, great. That was the Thunderbird 350 lightning green color bike ownership review, which I have it for more than 6 months now. One last thing before I forget is about the services that I have made so far is close to 2 services. Both of them are pretty good, and the service station guys did the job, I guess. The bike did change its sound when it came out of the service center with a very smooth tone to it. So which is a good thing. I don't have any complaints on the services. Great. Thank you very much for watching this long video. I hope you enjoyed it, and do leave your comments in the comment section of the YouTube. Cheers. Bye.